けれど、僕にとってあなたの存在は、城野に浮かぶ唯一の成功だったんだ。
Tea house. The long everlasting snow finally stops on the day of the Flower Prayer Festival. The weather is clear and many people have filled the streets of BToR City to take part in the festivities. You walk into the tea house and sit yourself at the window seat. A loud thud sounds as the storyteller hits his gavel on the table, calling for everyone's attention. This is the annual Flower Prayer Festival, and this is one of your favorite activities. Listening to the storyteller tell stories about celestial beings.
では、前回の続きといこう。京に住む白虎の三霊は恩返しをすべく、侍女と化して恩人である飛行士の家を訪ね住み込みで働くこととなった。しかし飛行士は彼女がただ者ではないことに気づき、その素性を探り始めてしまった。
Your father, the supreme commander of BToR, Marquis of Dingbei, has once told you about the existence of celestial beings in this world. They are cultivated through spiritual practice by non-human spirits. However, most of them choose to live in seclusion, residing in places where people cannot find them. Celestial beings cannot interfere with the lives of humans, or they will have to face punishment. The only exception to this rule is when they receive help from one indebted, they will have to repay the benefactor's kindness, or nothing will be born from their cultivation. But some celestial beings have high spiritual power, many times higher than that of a mortal. Hence, not many people can witness such curious happenings.
それから数日後のある日、飛行士は仮病を使って侍女を部屋に呼び出し、わざと彼女を困らせるようなことをした。すると、
The storyteller mimics the roles of both the male and female characters, filling the performance with life and emotions. Listening intently to the story, you suddenly feel a little parched and reach out for the teapot in front of you. Suddenly, a mildly cooler hand steals your wrist.
こんな寒い日に冷たい水を飲むなんて感心しないね。
You look up to see your private tutor Vin gazing at you with a displeased expression. This autumn, he'd recommended himself to become your private tutor at the Marquis estate. He is handsome and well-spoken, making your father take a liking to him at first sight. Your father used to say that his talents are wasted on you, but he doesn't seem to mind at all. Instead, he treats you well in all aspects. What are you doing here, Mr. Vin? He doesn't respond immediately, but there is a slight crease between his brows.
どうして僕に何も知らせず、一人で屋敷を出たのかな？
His voice is low as he slightly tightens his grip on your hand. Oh! Hearing your pain cry, Vin instantly releases you. A rare sliver of panic flashes past his ever-calm face.
すまない。大丈夫かい？少し見せて。
He doesn't move to touch you again, choosing to wait for you to raise your wrist of your own accord so that he can check on it. He frowns, remorse and guilt apparent in his eyes.
少し赤くなっているね。戻ったらすぐに薬を。
Don't worry, it's just a little red. It will be fine after a while. Vin's expression softens a little. His tone also mellows out when he speaks again.
北州と蛮族が戦争中で、まだ情勢がはっきりとしていない今、何も言わずに外に出るのは危険だよ。
He tells you of the current situation regarding the war. Through his words, he isn't trying to reprimand you, but rather he is worried about you. You can understand his worry, but you know that Bijou City is easy to defend and hard to attack. Moreover, to the east is the precipitous and strategically positioned Mount Lee, making the city almost impregnable. To the west is a range of mountains that are difficult to traverse, and to the south is the mighty Chishui River that even birds have a hard time crossing. The only way the enemy can get through to Beizu is the desert to the north, the stone gates heavily guarded by the Beiju army. Knowing that you didn't come out to play on a mere whim, you feel a little wrong. Seeing the aggrieved look on your face, Vin lets out a soft sigh.
どうやらあなたは、まだ今の状況を理解できていないみたいだね。
What do you mean by that?
春に入ってから異常な天候が続いているせいで、北の蛮族は食料を収穫できず、生き延びるために北州を略奪するしかない状況にある。つまり、以前にも増して侵攻の手を強めてくるか、あるいはこれを機に総攻撃を仕掛けてくる可能性があるんだ。あなたのお父様もそれを懸念しているからこそ、自ら軍を率いて石門関の外に駐在しているんだよ。そんな状況に追い詰められれば、蛮族も潜入や拉致などの手段も考えるようになる。特に、総帥の娘を人質にできれば一番手っ取り早いだろうね。仮に食料が得られなかったとしても、あなたのお父様を牽制することで、行き詰まった戦局を一変させることも可能となる。
You never thought that Vin had thought it through so thoroughly. A chill instantly runs down your spine as you realize how complacent you've been. I was being careless. I never thought about that. Then let's quickly head back. Vin faces you with a glimmer of a smile in his golden eyes. It makes your heart skip.
もう街に出てしまったことだし、少しだけ回ってから帰ろうか。
But didn't you just say?
あの話をしたのは外出を禁じるためではなく、どこに行こうと安全に気を配ってほしいと、そう伝えるためだよ。今は僕もついてるし、あなたを近くで守れるから大丈夫。
Mr. Vin?He speaks in a magnanimous manner as if everything he says is only natural. Situations like this happens more often than not ever since he came to the Marquis house. He treats you well and even considers the littlest things. However, why do you treat me so nicely? You face Vin and ask.This question has been nagging at you for quite a long time now. He looks at you in bewilderment, clearly not having expected you to ask him that. He hesitates for a while before slowly opening his mouth to speak.
あなたは僕の生徒だからね。優しくして当然だよ。
You don't know why, but you feel a little dejected.
どうかしたのかい？
He asks you in concern upon noticing the drop in your mood. You shake your head, not wanting him to read any further into you. Nothing, I'm just listening to the storyteller's story. The words have just left your mouth when you hear the storyteller hit the gavel on the table once more.
皆様、果たしてこの後どうなってしまうのか。それはまた次回のお楽しみといたしましょ
う。What? It ended so quickly. Having said that, the storyteller sips his tea and turns to leave the tea house. Mr. Vin,
ここ以外でどこか行きたい場所でもあるのかな？
You recall that he rarely goes out of the manor. He'd even turned down your father's invitation to release lanterns outside together during the Mid-Autumn Festival. But today, he has just offered to accompany you around BToR City.
どうする？どこでも付き合うよ。
No, there is a place that I've always wanted to bring you to.
わかった。行こうか。
Street. The Flower Prayer Festival is the first festive event of BToR City of the year, paired with the long-lasting snowy season and the fact that sunny days are a commodity during this period. There are at least 4 times more people out on the streets than usual. You both inadvertently get pushed around by the bustling crowd. He frowns slightly, seemingly displeased. You recall that he seems to have a particular distaste for human contact. Once in the Marquis' house, there was a maid who helped him tidy his room but was chased out shortly after. Ever since that incident, no one dared to approach the guest room he resided in and would take a detour whenever they saw him, but he doesn't seem to have such reservation when it comes to you. He'd also directly held onto your wrist earlier in the tea house. Now that I think about it, he seems to treat me differently compared to the others. Is this purely also because I'm his student? You reach out and grab onto his sleeve while he is unaware. He stops mid-step and turns to look at you in confusion. There are too many people here. It will be harder to get lost in the crowd if I hold onto your sleeve. You end up beating around the bush with a white lie as soon as the words are on the tip of your tongue, unable to tell him what you think. Vin looks at you in slight surprise. Just as your guilt is starting to rear its head, he reaches out to hold your hand in his.
その方がいいね。
When Vin had held onto your wrist before, it felt colder than ordinary people. The coolness of his hand grows increasingly apparent, and you grasp tighter onto his hand, hoping to warm him up even a little.
それより、今日の講談はどんな内容だったんだい？そこそこ真剣に聞いていたようだったけど。
Vin purposely finds a topic to make a small talk about. Perhaps it is because the atmosphere seems almost flirtatious now that you're holding hands with each other. It was a story about a celestial being repaying a debt of gratitude. There was a guy from the capital, Mr. Shi, who saved an injured white fox as a child. Later, he contracted a strange illness. The white fox took the form of a girl and used her cultivated spiritual practice to save him.
あなたはそのお話が好きなのかい？
Yep, I've loved such stories ever since I was little, but
でも
in the stories, the storyteller narrates the celestial being will inevitably get hurt while paying back their debt of gratitude. So I feel upset whenever I hear this part of the story.
それはどうして？
In those stories, people only help those celestial beings in an innocent act of kindness out of a coincidence. But celestial beings have to remember this debt forever. They end up having to pay a high price to repay that act of kindness, even if it costs them their lives. I think it's pretty unfair.
けど、あなたのように考える人は少数派だと思うよ。それに、人と洗礼は違うから、従う規則も当然異なる。洗礼にとっては、人に助けられた瞬間から、自分の運命の意図がその人に絡みつくんだ。洗礼の意志に関係なく、彼らは人と契りを交わしたことになり、自らの修行以上に優先しなくてはならなくなる。
Then what are they to do?
ただ人に恩を返すだけだよ。それさえ叶えば人とも縁を切れるからね。この決まりは絶対で、この世に居場所を得る代わりに守らなければならない。そういう掟なんだ。
But you still have something to say, but Vin stops walking. It looks like you have both reached the end of the street halfway through your conversation. Pavilion Terrace. You both reach the end of the bustling street. A huge peach blossom tree stands before you. It is supposed to be at peak of spring right now, but due to the abnormal weather conditions, the tree's peach blossom are not in full bloom. You feel slightly disappointed by it. You both go up to the pavilion by the peach blossom tree. You can see through the curtains that its branches are going near the cornice.
ここが僕と来てみたかった場所なのかい？
You nod. In the past years, this tree would be in full bloom. The sky would be filled with flowers and the sight would be absolutely divine. It's a pity that we have abnormal weather this year, delaying the peach blossom tree's flowering period. I've waited so long for it.
夏季が遅れていてもいずれ花は咲く。だから焦る必要はないよ。
Is he trying to comfort me? Yes, it is just as you see.
ところで、あなたは桃の花が好きなのかい？
I'm not sure whether I can say that I let them. Rather, this tree and I have a history.
縁？
When I first came to Bijou, I wasn't used to anything here at all, so my father brought me to the Flower Prayer Festival to lighten my spirits. That was when I chanced upon the blooming peach blossoms here. It reminded me of the peach blossom tree back in my hometown, and it helped calm me down. Since then, I've always come to this tree, confiding in it whenever I felt trouble. I wasn't sure why, but it did make me feel much better afterward. My father accompanied me here during the past flower parade festivals to enjoy the blooms. Unfortunately, he's being stationed elsewhere this year. You feel a little dejected and inevitably worried when you think about how your father is still fending off the enemies.
大丈夫。帝北公のような善良で誠実なお方であれば、きっと天からの愛子を受け、無事に帰還されるはずだよ。
Yes, the peach blossoms will definitely be in full bloom when my father returns. When that time comes, may I invite you to admire the blooms together again? He does not reply, only turning his gaze out towards the branches of the peach blossom tree hanging outside the curtains. You follow his line of sight to see the branches swaying in the wind. You don't know if you're just imagining things, but the flower buds of the peach blossom tree seem to have bloomed a little more than before. Snowflakes start to fall anew, creating a unique atmosphere alongside the peach blossoms. You reach out to touch the petals of the peach blossoms tinged with snowflakes. Then you turn to look at Finn. You notice him staring at the blooms in a trance with a hint of a smile on his face. Your heart flutters for some reason.
どうかしたのかい？
His voice snaps you out of the trance you've fallen into. You've met his eyes and your heartbeat suddenly speeds up even more. Nothing. You lower your head and avert your eyes. Luckily, he doesn't press further, smiling as he changes the topic.
前に遊学していた頃、桃の木にまつわる洗礼の話を聞いたことがあるんだけど、興味あるかい？
Of course. You look at Vin to see him looking warmly at the peach blossom tree, like how one would regard an old friend. The wind blows against his sweet hair, making the petals appear to have a life of their own as they flutter and land on him, adding to his ethereal look.
遥か昔、一匹の白い蛇が千年の樹齢を持つ桃の木の下で修行していてね。けど当時、町には一人の強欲な商人がいて、その桃の木をどうにか我が物にしようとしていたんだ。その後、彼は各所の人間を金銭で買収し、木を伐採する準備を進めていった。
Then what did the white snake do?
白者は座して死を待つような太刀ではなかったからね。商人のせいで自分の居場所が失われると知ってすぐに動いたよ。
But aren't celestial beings forbidden from interfering in the lives of people? Wouldn't the white snake be punished for this? Vin gives an indifferent smile. His eyes are cold, much colder than usual. There is even a glimmer of disdain.
罰。白者が桃の木に住み着いてから数百年。彼は人間の偽善や脆さをとうに理解していたし、彼らから狡猾さや人を騙す術も学んでいた。ただの凡人が相手なら、少しの法術を施してあげるだけで、間接的に相手の富と地位を失わせ、どん底に突き落とすことが可能なんだ。
What happened then? Anxious, you prompt him for the rest of the story. An inscrutable gleam flashes past his eyes. He looks like he has a lot to say but doesn't know where to start. After a long while, he finally speaks again. Looks like he has finally managed to piece his thoughts together.
その後は。
Just as he is about to continue with the story, a horn suddenly sounds from the city. It's a military signal. Why there is a horn sounding? Don't tell me. Did something happen on my father's end? Your father was stationed outside the stone gates to fend off the enemy. It will be difficult for them to reach the city unless something bad had happened to his army.
根拠のない憶測はよそう。今はとにかく屋敷に戻って、状況を把握することが先決だ。
He's right. Now is not the time for you to worry over nothing. You force yourself to calm down and give him a worried note.
すぐに歩けそうかい？
Yeah. Marcus' house. Vin shields you, holding onto you by your shoulder as you both return to the estate. General Lee, who is guarding the city gate, quickly strides over as soon as he spots the two of you. General Lee has been your father's follower ever since having enlisted. He is one of your father's close comrades who has gone through many ups and downs with him for 20-odd years. He treats you as his own daughter and is even on a first-name basis with you. He is always entrusted to take care of you whenever your father goes out to war.
森月先生、すぐに荷物をまとめて、一刻以内に北州を出て、精霊に避難してください。
Did something happen, Uncle Lee? Why are you suddenly asking us to leave the city?
本来ならお前に教えるべきじゃないんだろうが、北州が危険にさらされた今となっては、もはや隠しても無駄だな。
Your heart sinks upon hearing his words.
石膏の偵察情報によると、蛮族がすでに石門関の外に野営地を設けていて、近いうちに北州へと侵攻してくるそうだ。
That quickly?
情勢がここまで急変するとは。李将軍、今に至るまでの間、何の情報も入ってこなかったのでしょうか。
これまでにないひどい吹雪のせいで、偵察していた石膏が敵の痕跡に気づけなかったそうです。それで、今朝吹雪が収まった頃にはもう。
But didn't father lead troops out to stop them? They should have crossed paths, or there'd be no other way. How did the enemy reach the stone gates right away? General Lee pauses for a moment before gently sighing.
それは俺にもよくわからん。実を言うと、もう5日間も総帥と連絡が取れていないんだ。
What? Your brain buzzes with the revelation.
落ち着いて。天候の影響で連絡が途絶えることは珍しいことじゃない。帝北港もただ吹雪で迷っているだけかもしれないよ。
森月先生のおっしゃる通りだ。なんといっても6万もの軍。仮に奇襲にあったとしても、何の消息もなく消えるなんてことはありえない。
You are aware that what they are saying is reasonable and sound, but from your standpoint, it is impossible to not worry about your father. Noticing how crestfallen you are, Vin reaches out to hold your clenched fist. His hands are warmer now compared to before. It feels as if a warm, soothing current passes through your body from the contact. The anxiousness that grips your heart slowly dissipates. Vin smiles a little when he sees that you've calmed down. He lets go of your hand and turns to talk to General Lee.
李将軍、現在の北州の状況はどうなっているのでしょうか。
あまり芳しくないかと。北州は確かに攻めにくい地ではありますが、肝心の城内にはもうほとんど兵が残っていません。もし敵軍が城内へと攻め込んできた場合、現状の戦力では守りきれないでしょう。
では、援軍はいつ頃到着しそうですか。
救難信号については、石膏が敵軍を確認した時から出しています。昨今の悪天候による影響で、援軍も足止めされているのかと。
On one hand, there is insufficient military strength. On the other hand, the city won't be able to get any reinforcement. BToR City will end up being besieged and isolated. However, a loud sound comes from the city just as you are all at your wits' end. General Lee quickly pushes the door open and strides out. You both follow after him. Another rumble sounds somewhere near the north gate right before you get to the entrance. The ground beneath your feet shakes. All the people who were previously running for their lives amidst the chaos out in the streets freeze, staring at the city gates at a loss. All you can see is a cloud of black smoke rising into the sky, looking like the very picture of a bad omen as it shrouds the city in its darkness. He frowns and exchanges a few words with his bodyguard beside him before lowering his head and spitting.
せっかちな蛮族どもめ。
Uncle Lee, are they attacking the city?
いや、まだ本格的には始まっていない。先ほどの音は蛮族が使用している透析機によるもので、おそらくは中の様子を探るために行ったんだろう。死に急ぎ野郎どもめ。野営地を設けたばかりだというのに、もうこちらに手を出してくるとはな。
ここまで焦って行動しているということは、向こうも早期決着を望んでいるのでしょう。
If the enemy is being so impatient, then it means that the provisions they currently have with them will not last in the long run if the battle drags out. On the other hand, it also means that they are afraid that BToR City's reinforcements will arrive if the battle is allowed to drag out, thus turning the tables on them. To them, taking over BToR City earlier would mean that they will be able to plunder the provisions they need and return to the desert earlier. But things are the opposite for BToR City. The longer this battle drags on, the more likely the city's reinforcements are to arrive. Do you have any countermeasures against them?
策か。北州に残っている兵が少ない以上、状況を見て臨機応変に対応するしかないだろうな。
He lifts his head and looks at you. There is a hint of impatience in his gaze. He then glances at Vin as if he has something to say.
将軍、おっしゃりたいことがあるのでしたらお聞きしますよ。
そうですね。一つだけ先生にお願いしたいことがあります。
何でしょ
総帥は常々先生の才能を褒めていました。今のように危うい状況であっても、先生であればきっと切り抜けられるでしょう。ですから総帥に代わってお願いします。どうかお嬢様をお守りください。これが私からの唯一の願いです。
Uncle Lee, you never thought that General Lee would entrust your safety to Vin. You watch as he claps his hands together, bowing deeply to the scholar before him.
帝北校には地遇のご恩がありますので、将軍のお願いがなくともそうするつもりです。それに、
Vin pauses and glances at you, seemingly a little hesitant to continue.
とにかくご安心ください。この森月の息がある限り、彼女のことは必ずお守りいたします。
先生がそうおっしゃるなら、私はもう何も言いません。
General Lee looks at you, breathing a sigh of relief before giving you an equally comforting smile.
早く荷物をまとめなさい。皆と一緒に避難するんだ。
What about you guys, Uncle Lee?
私たちは北州の土地を守る兵士。人情にしても道理にしても北州と存亡を共にすべき存在だ。
Uncle Lee.
では道中お気をつけて。私はここで失礼します。
Saying so, he leaves the manor in a long strides without looking back. Watching his retreating back, you covertly make a decision. Study. After General Lee leaves, you don't end up packing your bags just as he's instructed you to. Instead, you go straight to the study to search for a map of Beiju City. Your father would order people to draw a new map once every 5 years. Hence, you manage to scrounge up at least 20 different maps of varying sizes from his study.
あなたはリヤマの道を調べようとしているのかい？
Seeing you and the maps, Vin quickly catches onto your line of thought. Yes, the reinforcements have to pass Monthly to enter Bijou. The official path of Monthly was rarely closed off in the past years. It was only when there was heavy snowfall that the path would be closed off to ordinary people for their safety. But in the case of a war, reinforcements could utilize that path to rush here as long as they get an SOS message. However, the circumstances are a little different this year. But it isn't like the official path through Monthly was there right from the get-go. There were residents in Bijou City who used to traverse in the mountain way before that. So they should have other ways in and out of that mountain.
確かに、その可能性は高そうだね。僕も手伝うよ。
Vin isn't stopping you despite you doing this on a whim. Instead, he's even offering to help you search with him. But he is only a teacher in the manor, even if General Lee has entrusted you under his care. All he has to do is to take you away safely. There is no need for him to take the risk. Mr. Vin, you don't have to stay here with me.
あなたがここにいるというのに、僕だけ逃げてどうするんだい？
Vin speaks without thinking as if it was a given answer. But I'm saying here of my own accord, you don't have to stay and accompany me just because you promised Uncle Lee to protect me.
違うよ。
What? You look at him in confusion. A complex look flashes past his eyes, helpless and hurt.
僕がここにいるのは将軍との約束のためじゃない。あなたのためにこの場にいるんだ。
For my sake?
僕にはわかるんだ。あなたの性格からして、北州を諦めて一人で逃げるなんて真似はしないって。だから、常に隣にいないと僕が安心できないんだよ。
Vin enunciates each word with inexplicable emotions hidden between the lines. His gaze is still as gentle as ever, but something gleams sparkling from within the depths of his golden eyes. You subconsciously recall his unspoken word from earlier, as well as his reply from the tea house. You don't know if you're asking this due to your emotions or some other reasons, but you do it anyway. Why do you treat me so nicely? Even if you are my teacher and I am your student, there is no need for you to go this far. Seemingly not having expected you to bring this question up again, he stares at you in surprise for half a second before averting his gaze.
今は、まだその話をする時じゃないかな。一刻を争う状況だし、早く地図を見つけてしまうか。
Okay. Seeing that he doesn't seem to want to broach the subject, you follow his lead and steer the conversation to another topic. Not all the maps can fit on the table, so you end up laying them all on the floor as you go through them one by one. However, why do all the maps only dictate two ways to cross Milk Monthly? One is to go through Monthly's official path and the other one is to go over it. The former has now been sealed off, and the latter, it is already hard enough to hike over Monthly in normal weather conditions, let alone in a blizzard. You look through all the maps again. There's no third route to be found even in the earliest dated map. You can't help feeling a little hopeless. Your father's gone. The enemy troops are overwhelming in numbers. There are not enough troops within BToR City and there will be no reinforcements coming in. Everything seems to stop at a dead end. Is there no other way out of BToR City? You look at Vin as if he is the last piece of driftwood as you drown in the river. He puts map he is holding away, looking at you thoughtfully. Then he speaks slowly, seemingly having made an important decision.
実は、リアマにはもう一つ、北州に通ずる道があるんだ。
Really? You look at him in surprise. He points toward a small area on the map at the foot of Mount Lee.
うん。僕が留学していた頃にも一度だけ使ったことがあるけど、ここには細い抜け道があるんだ。ただ、あの道は一部崖に面していて、少しでも気を抜けば命を落としてしまう可能性もある。一般人が通るにはあまりに危険な道だから、地図の制作者はあえてその道を記載しなかったんだろうね。
If that's the case, then let's look for the mountain path now. The earlier we inform the reinforcements about this, the earlier BToR City will... A sudden commotion sounds outside the door just as you're halfway through your sentence. Vin opens the window to see a dense cloud of smoke rising along with flickers of fire outside the city. The choking smell of fire permeates every corner of the city, and the dull sound of catapults making their impact on the city walls can be faintly heard in the distance. Looks like the enemy has already expected the city to be lacking in the defense department and has begun attacking with all their might after scouting the area, leaving lesser time for Beiju City to react. Vin glances at you with a slight worry reflected in his golden eyes.
敵軍が攻撃を始めた以上、今ここから飛び出していくのは危険すぎる。援軍の方は僕に任せて、あなたは李将軍の言いつけ通り、北州の町民たちと一緒に避難してくれるかい？
No, that's way too dangerous. You reject him without another thought. In the middle of a war, the reinforcements won't be so trusting of strangers. They might even see you as a potential spy. I may have not been on a battlefield with my father before, but I have met those men. They will be more inclined to believe us if we show up together. So let's go together. You raise your head to meet his gaze head-on, not willing to budge. After a while, you hear a faint sigh from Vin.
どうやら断る理由はなさそうだね。
After successfully convincing Vin, you both pack up and leave the manor, rushing straight to the gates of the city. Despite knowing that the city was slowly descending into chaos, you never thought that Beiju City would ever be in such a mess.
お願いです。少しの間でいいですから、かくまってもらえないでしょうか。どうかお願いです。
By the street is a frail woman holding her young child, slamming her hand against a tightly shut door. And behind her are people running in all directions, attempting to flee. The officers are trying to maintain order and help them evacuate, but they are unable to do anything about the widespread panic. In the span of merely a few hours, the once peaceful and prosperous Beiju City has been reduced into chaos. You subconsciously tighten your grip on the reins in your hands. Shortly after, a pair of cool hands cover yours. Mr. Vin?
そう気を落とさないで。蛮族がすぐそこまで攻め込んできてるから、彼らが混乱するのも仕方のない話だよ。それに、みんながそうというわけではなさそうだしね。
He points toward something a short distance away. You turn to see a group of people surrounding the officers on the street. There are people of all ages within the little groups, and they are all brandishing farming tools as if they were weapons. And that's...
避難を望む者もいれば、そうでない人もいる。人のありようというのは、そういうものだよ。
You understand what he's getting at almost immediately. Those people gathered around the street corner as civilians that are unwilling to leave the city. The weapons they wield might be for self-protection or to fend off the incoming enemy. The lives of humans are like mayflies in chaotic world. Time waits for no one, so you have to make good use of what time you have. You clench your fists, solidifying the belief in your heart as it grows more resolute. City gates. Finally, you and Vin reach the east gate, which are the closest to Mount Lee. The enemy's main force are currently at the north gate, so things are considerably peaceful on the east one. However, this peace won't last forever. You are outnumbered by the enemy forces, and they are fully capable of diverting a part of their forces to attack the east gate. If they do so, Beiju would have to split part of their forces on the north gate to secure it. In this case, it will be hard for the Beiju city forces to persist through. Clearly, General Lee has also thought this through and has personally taken to leading and holding fort at the east gate. Upon seeing your approach, he quickly comes down from atop the city walls.
どうしてここに？荷物をまとめて早く避難しろと言っただろう。
His armor is covered in a layer of dust, but his eyes are still bright despite the exhaustion written on his face. Uncle Lee, we've just found another route, an inner mountain path through Mount Lee that the reinforcement can use to get here.
山道？お前たちが見つけたというのか？
将軍、緊急事態です。
One of the soldiers stationed at the wall comes rushing toward General Lee.
何事だ？慌てずにきちんと説明しろ。
ご報告いたします。敵軍の敵機が間もなく東門に襲来します。
なんだと？
General Lee pushes the shaking soldier aside and quickly scales the wall. Under the snowy night is an unmistakably approaching black mass of cavalry soldiers. Their black silhouette looks particularly eerie against the white backdrop of snow.
蛮族め、北州の兵力不足を狙い、とことん消耗させる気だな。北門から一小隊連れてこい。今すぐにだ。
Before he can finish his sentence, Vin cuts in.
将軍、今向こうから兵を呼ぶのは危険です。
He's right. The strength of the enemy forces drops our. They are attacking the east gate now because they want you to split your force from the north gate. Don't fall for it, Uncle Lee.
それは私も理解している。だが、今すぐに兵を調達せねば、東門は陥落するぞ。
He sighs vehemently, punching the city wall.
くそ。
将軍が憂慮されていることはわかります。
Vin steps forward, keeping his eyes on General Lee as he continues to speak.
しかし、兵を移動させてもその場しのぎにしかなりませんし、頻繁な移動が続けば兵はすぐに疲弊してしまいます。そうなれば、東門だけでなく北門までもが突破され、北州城は陥落してしまうでしょう。
ではどうしろと？何もせずにただ死を待っていろというのですか？
いえ、将軍。まだ一つだけ道が残っています。
どこにそんな道が？そうか。先ほど話していた山道のことですね。
General Lee quickly turns to look at Vin, seemingly having realized something.
ええ、その山道を見つけ、北州に援軍を呼び込みます。もしそれが叶えば。
Then the enemy will no longer have their advantage in numbers. Both sides will be evenly matched, and there will be no telling who will rise as the final winner. General Lee remained silent for a while, contemplating the feasibility of what you both just said.
その山道だが、どうやって存在を知ったんだ？
He found it in one of the ancient books and has walked through it once in his earlier years.
それでは先生、その道の地図を書いてもらえませんか？部下に捜索を命じましょう。
おそらくですが、それは難しいかと。あの山道は、遥か昔に一度通過した霧なので、今では周辺の景色も変わっていると思います。記憶を頼りに地図を作成したとしても、彼らに見つけられるかどうか。おそらく、兵力と時間の無駄遣いとなるでしょう。今の北州に一番必要なのは、まさに兵力と時間です。それにつきましては、将軍もよくご存知かと。
General Lee gives Vin a look before sighing and relenting.
どうやら先生に直接見つけてもらうしかなさそうですね。ただ、
He turns to look at you.
お嬢様が一緒に行くことは許せません。
No, Uncle Lee, that won't do. I have to go with him.
無茶を言うんじゃない。リヤマまで行って援軍を呼び込むまで一体どれほどの危険が潜んでいるか分かっているのか。それに今日は大雪だ。敵軍の鉄器の影響もあってリヤマでは雪崩の危険性が高まっている。
This is precisely why I have to travel with him.
な、
Uncle Lee, you know my father well, don't you? What do you reckon he'll do if Visual City is in danger?
北州を死守し最後まで敵軍と戦うだろうな。
Then, as his daughter, who has enjoyed the privilege that comes with being the daughter of the Supreme General, how can I sit still and do nothing while knowing that Visual City is now in dire straits? Mr. Vin is just a teacher that came to the Maker's house to teach in the autumn. He too should have received my father's protection, but he is now risking his life for the city. Wouldn't it be unfair for me to let him take and face these risks alone?
それは
General Lee is rendered speechless by your words. He grips so tightly onto the hilt of his sword and his veins are bulging out. You feel a little guilty, but thinking of everything that's happened before you right now and of being probably left behind makes you stand firm.
心配なさる将軍の気持ちはお察ししますが、一言だけよろしいでしょうか。
どうぞ。
リヤマへの道は極めて危険で、例の山道を見つけることはもちろん、援軍を導くに至るかは誰にもわかりません。ですが断言いたしましょう。どんなことが起ころうと、どんな対価を支払おうと、彼女だけは僕が守り抜きます。
Mr. Vin? While conversing, the tremors in the ground grow more apparent. The enemy is now much closer to the east gate. If you do not get out of the city now, you may not get another chance to do so. General Lee knows about this. He helplessly shakes his head.
わかった。お前がどうしてもと言うならもう止めません。私はまだ任務があるから気をつけて行ってこい。
Saying so, he gently pats your shoulder.
しっかりと自分を守るんだぞ。
Outside the city. Upon leaving Beijing City, none of you light a torch up to light the way to prevent alerting the enemy. Behind you are the enemy forces who are about to reach the city, wielding torches so bright that it lights up the east gate as if it was broad daylight. You stand before Monthly, looking back at Beijing City, which is little more than a dot in your eyes. By the time the battle cries rings out in the air, they are merely indistinct shouting. Uncle Lee.
大丈夫。幾度となく戦場を経験してきた彼なら、僕たちが戻るまできっと持ちこたえてくれるよ。
You nod and follow behind Vin. The mountain path is difficult to traverse considering the accumulated snow on the ground, tree branches and other obstacles on the ground. You have absolutely zero experience in traveling out on snowy nights. You stumble as you walk and your speed has considerably slowed. Glancing at Vin, you see him walking unbothered as if he were treading the flat ground. Even the snowflakes don't seem to touch him. You can't help but release a long sigh. Vin stops and glances back at you. Sorry, I may have overestimated my stamina.
いや、十分歩けているよ。でも、このままだと少し遅いかもしれないね。
I know.
だから悪いけど、今からは僕があなたを支えて歩いてもいいかい？
He asks you this very seriously, but his expression is as emotionless as always. Okay.
それじゃ、失礼するよ。
He gently holds your wrist. He does not do much of anything, but walking feels a lot easier to you now. You should be feeling cold because of the frigid winds, but somehow you feel very warm in his arms. The snow gradually grows heavier, and the path before you becomes increasingly obscured. However, Vin doesn't seem fazed as he avoids every obstacle in his path. Soon, Vin brings you to a cliff with a long winding and narrow path beside it. Only one side of the path cuts through the mountain. The other side is a cliff with its edge covered in vines. What lies beneath is a bottomless abyss. Vin releases the hold he has on your waist, advancing a few steps forward to examine the entrance. After a moment, he comes back with a slight frown marring his face. What's wrong, Mr. Vin?
この道は長い間使われていなかっただけじゃなく、今は野獣の縄張りになっているようだ。それに今年の降雪が多かったせいか、山道の入り口には亀裂が入っていて、もし雪崩が起きた際はこの山道ごと崩れる恐れもある。だから、
If you want me to wait here for you, then no.
あなたを一人にさせるつもりはないよ。現状だと僕の目が届かない方が危険だろうからね。だから中に入ったら僕のそばから離れないで。
I will.
では行こうか。
Mountain Pass. He pushes aside the weeds and snow blocking the entrance, and you both enter the area. He naturally walks along the side facing the cliffs, leaving the other side, which is closer to the mountains, for you. The cold howling wind blows against the vines at the edge of the cliff, sending some snowflakes swirling in your direction every once in a while. A sickening stench grows increasingly stronger as you both proceed deeper into the mountain path. Do you smell something? Vin furrows his eyebrows, slowly coming to a stop. He swiftly shields you behind him without a sound.
静かに。この先に何かいるみたいだ。
You recall what Vin said earlier about no one having traveled along this path in many years, and that it has been taken over by wild beasts. Due to the abnormal weather conditions this year, even the wild beasts living here may not have been able to catch enough food for themselves. If they all gather here, you don't have the guts to think about what would happen.
山道を縄張りにしている動物みたいだね。けど、そんなに心配しなくても大丈夫だよ。
Perhaps sensing how stiff you've become, Vin moves closer, his voice comforting by your ear.
ここで待ってて。すぐに戻るから。
Seeing him turn to leave, you quickly catch his sleeve. I'll go with you.
いいや、ここの野獣は長年日に当たっていないだろうから、見た目が少し。とにかく、あなたは見ない方がいい。
Saying so, he gently pulls his sleeve from your grasp, offering you a comforting smile.
安心して。すぐにそこの開けた場所に行くだけだから。ここからでも僕の様子はわかるはずだよ。
You keep your eyes trained on him as he leaves. Vin walks to the spacious area in front and stops, just as he said he would. The moment he stops, multiple green eyes blink back from the darkness of the mountain path. Are those the eyes of the wild beasts? You watch him anxiously. Slowly, you see a faint golden glow surround his form. Maybe you're just imagining things? You rub your eyes and realize that the golden glow surrounding him is growing stronger. It gradually illuminates the surrounding area, eclipsing the eyes of the beast. What is he doing? The ground tremors slightly, and the beast walks out from the darkness. It lets out a ferocious roar as it faces Finn. You subconsciously hold your breath. The resounding roar makes the mountain path shake, and the accumulated snow on the top of it starts to fall off. However, Finn remains unfazed. A chilling cold washes over the mountain path, but the beast that roared earlier suddenly lowers its head, irritably pacing the area. There is a light rustle, and all the beasts at the end of the mountain path disappear, returning the area to its prior serenity. The golden glow around Vince's body gradually dissipates as well. You notice him swaying, so you subconsciously rush over to help support him.
大丈夫
But
野獣はまだ近くにいるから
you stop, watching him worriedly as he leans against the wall for support and slowly sits himself down. Time ticks past as a rich woody scent wafts around the mountain path. Vince. Mr. Vin? You softly call out to him, but he doesn't respond. A few rays of moonlight shine onto the path. It looks like the snow outside stopped some time ago. Your surroundings are now eerily quiet. Half-thoughts resound as snow falls off the cliff now and then, striking fear into your heart. You unwittingly remember the avalanche both Vin and Uncle Lee mentioned before, and a strong feeling of unease rises within your heart. Then the ground beneath your feet shakes. A muffled sound echoes somewhere above you. Numerous cracks make themselves known on the mountain. It appears that the mountain path is about to cave. It really is an avalanche. You subconsciously turn to Finn. He's still sitting on the ground, completely unaware. You rush over and hold onto him without much thought. He freezes, not expecting you to run over to him. At the same time, the mountain path has already started to collapse. A piece of rock slams into you. The sheer amount of pain makes you dizzy. The ground beneath your feet cracks as you both fall downward in each other's embrace.
大丈夫僕がついてるから
In a trance, you feel as if Vin had said something. You feel yourself being wrapped in a warm golden light as your consciousness gradually fades. Before completely blacking out, you seem to recall seeing a huge white snake. Fire, flames. There are scorching flames everywhere, just like hellfire, destroying everything in its wake. The vicious sounds of battle can be heard, who's crying and who's howling in anguish. Images whirl before your eyes. You seem to have returned to Beijing City, but why? The overpowering scent of gunpowder and blood, the rapid thudding of hooves, and the sound of horns against the burning red city. Everything seems to be getting rapidly destroyed. Why? How did everything become like this? No, it can't. You run forward in a frenzy. Just then, the scene before you changes once more. You see the peach blossom tree being devoured by fire. The fire is so red, just like peach blossoms, in full bloom but stained with blood. Vince stands before the burning peach blossom tree with his back towards you. He doesn't seem to care about the sparks of fire falling onto him from the skies. Mr. Vin. He turns to look at you, a hint of sadness in his golden eyes. Your heart throbs in pain at the sight. You slowly approaching him, yet it feels as if he takes a step back for every step you take until his very being is engulfed in the same flames. No, don't go, Vin! You hoarsely call his name, but he doesn't seem to hear you. He vanishes before your eyes.
起きて。大丈夫。僕はここにいるから。もう怖くないよ。
Faintly, you hear a familiar voice calling your name. You slowly open your eyes. The prior flames and strange noise disappear as your vision is flooded with white. Vince's long hair seems to cascade before you as his voice slowly registers.
怖がらないで。僕はここだよ。
It's Mr. Vin. His familiar scent and voice. You feel as if you're wrapped in his embrace. He gently pats you to comfort you.
もう大丈夫。
Mr. Vin. You subconsciously cling tighter to his neck, pressing yourself close to feel his warmth. Your fragile heart gradually calms and your awareness returns for a moment. The image of the bizarre dream reappears in your mind. BToR City? What happened to BToR City? Mr. Vin,
今はじっとしてて。
He gently holds you close.
北州は無事だよ。何も起きてない。
But I saw everything. BToR City was conquered and the people couldn't be saved. And you disappeared. I was terrified. I went to the peach blossom tree in search of you, but you ignored me and walked straight into the sea of fire alone. The image of him being engulfed by the hungry flames remains stark in your mind like a sharp knife stabbed right into your heart. I wanted to stop you, but you seemed to take a step back every time I took a step forward. There was always a permanent and insurmountable distance between us. I don't want things to end like this. Not like this. Vince sighs softly. Then he smiles, seemingly having decided on something.
心配しないで。それはあなたが迎える結末ではないから。夢はあくまでも夢。現実とは異なり、あなたが見たそれは全て偽りの光景に過ぎない。あなたの北州は敗れたりしないし、あなたのお父様も無事だよ。あなたが愛する全てが、これまでと変わらずにそこにあるから。
Really?
うん。本当だよ。あなたが願うなら、僕が全てを叶えてあげる。だからもう怖がらないで。いいかい？
Mr. Vin. He doesn't say anything else, only shifting closer to rub your cheek with his chin. For a moment, you feel as if the surrounding temperatures have risen quite a lot. The misty white light in your vision gradually clears, and you see flowers blooming right before your eyes. Mr. Vin, there are flowers.
ようやく咲いたみたいだね。これでもうすぐ春が訪れる。すべて終わりを迎えたら、あなたの夢もきっと覚めると思うよ。
Mr. Vin, is this what you're helping me feel?
そうだよ。嬉しいかい？
I think it is. The gentle breeze blows past, and the air gradually stills. The woody fragrance coming from Vin grew stronger and stronger until it completely overwhelms you. The sound of water dripping comes from all around. Your thoughts run wild as it recalls many of your memories. Mr. Vin, guess what I just thought of?
なんだい？
I thought of many things about us. The way he cherishes you, the way he gives you special treatment amongst many other things. It feels like he has always been beside you, never once leaving your side. You're so nice to me, Mr. Vin. But why? Back then, you told me that it wasn't the right time, but can you tell me now? You asked him the same question again.
そうだね。確かに。これが最後の機会かもしれないから。
Petals fall, gently landing on your hair. Vin moved his right hand in an attempt to help you remove them, but it soon drops back down weakly. The woody scent is fading off.
僕はあなたのことをはるか昔から知っているんだ。あなたが思っているよりもずっと昔からね。
Vin suddenly speaks, cutting through the silence.
この前に話した白蛇の話、まだ覚えているかな？商人が私利私欲のために桃の木を伐採しようとした当日、白蛇はその商人を懲らしめようとしたんだけど、奇遇なことに、その日はもう一人、桃の木を気に入ってしまった少女がいてね。少女は名門の子だったらしく、家の機嫌を損ねることを気にした商人は、桃の木を諦めた。そうして、意図せず、白蛇は恩を売られてしまったんだ。
What? He continues without stopping. It feels as if he is also telling this story for himself.
最初、白蛇は少女のことを嫌っていた。彼女の無意識の行動により、望まぬ契約を結ばれてしまったわけだからね。だから、少女が成長していく過程で、少しの意地悪をして、それで助けたことにすれば十分だと、白蛇は思っていたんだ。なのに。
Vin sobs, his cool lips gently brushing across the tip of your nose.
例の少女は、毎日桃の木の前に来て、木に向かって悩みや思いを吐露するようになり、そのせいで、彼女が北州に来たばかりで、毎日寝れずにいたことや、父親に心配させまいと、気丈に振る舞っていたことを白蛇は知ってしまった。それ以外にも、彼女の好きな食べ物のことや、当時気になっていた相手のことなんかもね。そんな少女の成長を見守っていく中で、白蛇が元来持っていた人間への偏見は、雪のように溶けていったんだ。むしろ、人間という生き物が可愛く思えてくるようになり、特に、いつも見ている目の前の少女のことが、何より愛おしく思えてしまったんだ。
His grip around your waist tightens as a gasp escapes his lips.
いつからか、毎日のように少女に寄り添っていたいと、白蛇はそう思うようになった。だから彼は、読書人に身を変え、少女の家で先生として働くように。
You catch a whiff of the faint metallic tinge of lead as he coughs. His skin grows colder. However, he refuses to stop. He slowly opens his heart up to you, one word at a time.
ただの人間と寄り添いたいなんて、昔の白蛇からすればありえない思考だと思う。洗礼に比べれば、人の寿命などほんの一瞬に過ぎないし、 それこそ花のようにすぐ散ってしまう。けれど、僕にとってあなたの存在は、城野に浮かぶ唯一の成功だったんだ。その光と引き換えなら、僕は幾億の暗闇にだって耐えてみせる。僕からの答えは、これで十分かい。
Vin's story is long and tactfully told. It is a narration, yet it also feels like a farewell. You try your hardest to say something, but Vin interrupts you again.
いいよ。もうすべて終わったから。あなたも眠いはず。目が覚めたら何もかも良くなっているから。だからもう眠りなさい。
His voice seems hypnotic, and you slowly find yourself succumbing to it, your eyes slipping shut. A wave of warmth flows through your body and sleepiness crashes into you like a huge tide. Your consciousness gradually fades as you struggle to hold onto something, anything, but there is nothing you can do. Tears fall from the corner of your eyes.
泣かないで。
Vin's voice fades as it grows further and further away.
あなたが泣くと、僕も悲しいから。
Finally, everything falls into complete silence as you drift off into space. Everything is far from you now. Bedroom. You slowly awaken, unaware of how much time has passed. Upon getting a closer look at the furnishing of the room you're in, you realize that you're already back at the manor. It is almost as if the siege that had befallen the city and the avalanche were nothing more than nightmares. Everything felt unreal.
お嬢様、ようやくお目覚めになりましたか。もう本当に心配したんですよ。
The maid that's in your room notices that you're now awake. She quickly helps you sit up. What happened to me?
お嬢様は援軍を呼びに行かれて、戻られた後はずっと眠っていらっしゃいました。
Out of the city? Reinforcement? Alright, how's BToR City now?
大丈夫です。北州は無事ですよ。お嬢様と森月先生が援軍を探しに行った後、あと少しで城門を突破されそうになりましたが、どういうわけか天気が急に回復し、急上昇した気温が数時間足らずで積もった雪をすべて溶かしてしまったんです。
The weather suddenly turned warm?
はい、夏よりもずっと暑くて、庭の花もすべて咲いてしまったくらいです。
What happened afterward?
その後は援軍がリヤマの坑道より駆けつけ、北州を救ってくださいました。加えて吹雪が止んだことで総帥様が動き、蛮族側の援軍も無事に撃退できたそうです。旦那様とリー将軍は蛮族を挟み撃ちにし、見事勝利を収めました。
It's good to hear that father's fine.
それからリー将軍がおっしゃっていましたが、総帥様はあと2日ほどで北州に戻られるそうですよ。町の皆も話していましたが、きっと北州は洗礼に助けられたのだと思います。はあ、北州を救ってくださったのは一体どの洗礼なんでしょうか。ぜひともお礼を言いたいものです。
The maid continues talking, but you feel a sudden pang in your heart. You recall the conversation that felt unreal, like a dream. Suddenly, realization dawns on you. Where's Mr. Vin?
森月先生ですか。先生はお嬢様を送り届けてくださった後、しばらく外出すると言って出て行かれましたよ。
He left?
はい。 確か森月先生、よくぞご無事で。そのお方はお嬢様、どうかなさったのですか？
し。ただ疲れて眠っているだけで、彼女は無事ですよ。
He gently places the girl in his arms on the bed, as if she is an invaluable treasure.
ありがとうございます。ではあとは私が。
いえ、まだ大丈夫です。
Vin covers her with the quilt and gently brushes a finger over the crease between your brows.
眠っていても、まだ北州のことを心配しているんだね。
森月先生、顔色の方がよろしくないようですが、お医者様をお呼びしましょうか？
いえ、大丈夫です。
His gaze, ever so longing, never once left the girl. It almost as if he is trying to carve the image of her into his mind. It is the first time the maid has ever seen him, who is always so cold, making such an expression.
では、あとは頼みます。
After a long while, Vin finally stands up and averted his eyes.
はい、もちろんです。お嬢様のお世話は元より私の仕事ですから。森月先生も離れの方に戻られますか？
いえ、僕はまだ用事が残っているので。そうですね。しばらくは戻らないと思います。
戻らない？でもお嬢様はまだ目を覚まされておりませんよ。このまま何も告げずに行ってしまわれたら、きっとお嬢様が悲しまれるかと。
それは分かって。
Seeing his pained expression, but remembering that he does not like to be touched, the maid slowly lowers her outreaching hand.
森月先生、やはりお医者様を呼んできますね。ですが、私がお医者様を連れて部屋に戻ると、すでに森月先生の姿はありませんでした。
He was unwell back then?
そうですね。詳しいことは分かりませんでしたが、外はもうかなり暑かったのに、先生はずっと厚着をしていました。あ、そうだ。私の見間違いでなければですが、先生は手を怪我されているようでした。
He was injured? Your heart is in your throat.
怪我といっても単なる外傷というわけではなく、手の甲に何やら白い跡のようなものが見えまして。
White stuff?
はい、例えるならそうですね。見た目は鱗のようでした。でも人に鱗なんてあるわけないですし、やはり何かの見間違いだったのかも。
Skills, white snake, peach blossom tree, young girl, returning kindness. You no longer care to listen to the maid. Instead, you dash out of the manor. Street. Wind whistles past your ears. You run as fast as your legs can carry you. A bittersweet taste rises from your throat. Mr. Vane, where are you? A flood of memories hits you, and you finally understand everything. That white snake he mentioned was none other than Vane, and that girl was you. You were the one who melted all the snow and ice that had been accumulating for months, weren't you? You were the one who allowed the reinforcements to reach Beijing City through Mountly. You were the one who let father find his way back, right? But what about you? Where have you gone? Your vision blurs as tears fill your eyes. You didn't dare to stop, but the past keeps flashing before you. When Vin first came to the manor, you hid behind a screen with the maid. The moment he turned around and you saw his face, he had cemented a place in your heart. The way he held your hand, guiding you as he taught you calligraphy and painting, how he told you about the joys and sorrow of the world. During the Kishi festival, he ate the fried thin pastry you made and praised you. During the Mid-Autumn festival, he made you a moon lantern and helped you hang it in your door. Why do you treat me so nicely?
洗礼に比べれば、人の寿命などほんの一瞬に過ぎないし、それこそ花のようにすぐ散ってしまう。けれど、僕にとってあなたの存在は、城野に浮かぶ唯一の成功だったんだ。その光と引き換えなら、僕は幾億の暗闇にだって耐えてみせる。僕からの答えは、これで十分かい。
Kindness always comes at a price. Your act of kindness was a coincidence stemming from an unexpected turn of events, but Vin paid it for it with his life. He fulfilled your wish for world peace, and there wouldn't be another one like him in this world. Mr. Vin, where are you? You quicken your pace again. Pavilion Terrace. Finally, you reach the peach blossom tree. The flower on it had been budding back then, but now it is in full bloom. But the person who should have been beside you, accompanying you and enjoying the flowers together with you, is not there. Mr. Vin, you have a lot of questions you want to ask him, but now they all pale in comparison to how much you want him to come back. But is there still a chance he will? Vin, will you accompany me next year to enjoy the flowers together? You raise your head to face the fully bloomed peach blossoms and gently voice your invitation to him. You receive only silence in response. But as you remain stubbornly standing in place, you feel a light draft blow past. Peach blossom petals flutter in the sky, gently landing on you. And you seem to hear a faint voice coming from afar.
どうしたの？僕に会いたかったんでしょ？早くおいで。
Your hands are warmer now, unlike how they were in the past.
手をつないでたからかな。あなたの温度が自然に伝わったのかも。
Really?
うん、本当だよ。信じられないならまたつなぐ？
The weather is fairly hot today. I noticed that you have your scarf on. Is your old wound acting up again?
いや、ただの習慣だよ。気になるなら近くで見てみる？
No, it's fine. After that day, I stood under the peach blossom tree every day to wait for Vin and shared with him my day-to-day activities. Fortunately, he returned after a year. And on the day of his return, the peach blossom tree went into full bloom. Is this a peach blossom happen?
うん。僕からの贈り物だよ。気に入った？
I like it, but why would you give it to me, Mr. Vin?
花は散りやすく、つぼみとなって散りゆくまで数日しか楽しめない。だから、こうして残してみたんだ。それともう一つ、僕は。
Why did he stop? And the way he's looking at me? Is there something you wish to tell me?
今年の講談はまだだよね。このかんざしにまつわる話が一つあるんだけど、聞くかい？
The origin of the peach blossom happened. Yes, do tell.
およそ100年前、 桃の木の下にとある男女がいて、二人はそこで愛を誓い合ったんだ。そして愛を誓った証として、男は玉杯を贈り、一生共にすると約束した。
The keepsake in the story was a jade pendant. How is it related to this peach blossom happening?
それは、男の行動を見て、僕も誓いを形にしたいとそう思ってね。
Your lady.
僕のその相手は、一緒に花見をしたいと誘ってくれたんだ。けど僕は欲張りだから、その一時の季節だけじゃ、とても足りない。このかんざしは珍しいものではないけど、あなたと会ってから自作したものなんだ。だから、受け取ってくれるかい？
He looks as if he's asking for my hand in marriage. Yes, but I'm not good at putting on accessories. Could I trouble you to put in on for me?
もちろん、これからは毎日、僕がつけてあげるよ。